Hello community, welcome back. I'm getting ready to do another hat video, series of video, and I've had quite a few people asking for my sewing pattern on the hat, on the welder cap or the biker cap or the restaurant worker, food industry, medical industry. A lot of people would wear a head covering. Anybody who wears a helmet, I suggest wearing a head covering. So we're getting ready to make another one together. A little how-to. But I got a lot of emails asking how can I get your pattern, how can I get a pattern, and so I tried. Well, first I tried to put it in my scanner, put it into my email, and I emailed it to myself, and then when I went to print it out, the size did not match my original pattern. So I definitely don't want to email someone a scanned document that's not the correct size. So if any of y'all know how I can get that dialed in, I'd love to hear about it in the comment section, or you can send me an email. I'm going to leave my email in the description box below the video player, below the video window. So for now, the only way I have to get you a pattern, my pattern, is to print it out, put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, and put it in the mailbox headed your way. That's kind of slow, and you know, if I were to do 2 or 3 of those a week like I've been doing, it can get expensive on my end. Now, I'm glad to do it so far, and I'd be glad to have it somewhere where you could download it or print it out. I just don't know what platform to use online to where the size would be correct. So I'm looking for your input on that, if you have any suggestions. So some more emails I've been getting, talking with friends, family, is let's go through and make a hat in more detail on the steps, the procedures, each step. You know, I showed every step, but the emails I get are, you know, I didn't actually see you know, sew the pieces together. You just said sew it together. I don't even know how to sew, or I don't even have a machine, you know. So a lot of these questions I'm getting are from a beginner, and that's great that they're interested. So as you watch this video series, keep in mind that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to the professionals, the semi-pros who absolutely know all, you know, everything about what I'm talking about. You know, when you watch the video, don't just think I'm talking to you. Think that I'm talking to your son or daughter, or, you know, someone who is just learning. And that's what this series will be about, is really breaking it down to the basics, fundamentals. So I'm not, don't get bored with it. Don't get aggravated and say, well, I already know how to, you know, what this is and how to do that. That's fine. That's great. And I'm glad you're watching, but I'm talking to the folks who don't know yet. So I'll leave my email if you're interested in my pattern for this hat. And I want to tell you about this hat. It's 100% cotton. The stiffener in this brim of this bill is nylon or polyester. Neither of those two are flame resistant or flame proof. This is not FR material. This is not fire retardant material. This is just cotton. This is just like your shirt. This interior of this bill is nylon. So none of this that I'm going to show you how to make, how to put together, is considered flame resistant. You know, if you want to make this for your welder, you know, your friend, your husband, your wife welder, just know right off the top here, as with my other video series, we'll call it a welder cap, you know, a medical industry cap, a restaurant industry cap, but is not a flame retardant piece of personal protective equipment, or PPE. This is not fire retardant material that we're using. It's 100% cotton and nylon or polyester filler. Okay, so I want to get that very clear to everyone. This is not FR rated. And finally, I want to tell you, I want to sit down and do a single video on the cost of my machine and all the materials I use to make these hats. Like I did with my leather working, I had a lot of questions on that. How much does it cost to get started? So I'm going to do a video on that coming soon. And I believe that's about it. Thank you for watching, and let's sit down and from A to Z once again talk about buying the fabric, bringing it home, to a final product ready to wear. Good day, people. Let's talk about a yard of fabric. 100% cotton. This is cherries. It's kind of generic. It's anywhere from $3 to $6 a yard. That's 3 feet by 3 feet of material. And for our pattern that we're using, the total space we're going to need, or the total square inches or footage, is 19 inches wide by 9 inches tall. So my pattern is just under 9 inches tall, and the 4 pieces that we use, the front, middle, back, and the bill, will take up 19 inches of width this way. So that'll give you an idea of how much fabric it takes to make this pattern. So you can get anything from solid colors to I mean, it's endless what you can buy, either at your big box store or online. I bought these 2 yards from a little ma and pa shop here in the little town I live near, and they were $3 per yard for this fabric. And I have it laid out here right sides out, so I'm doubled. That's what we need for our hat. The wrong side is inside. This is the right side, the correct side, the usable side. And on the other side of that is the wrong side, the unusable side. So I have the wrong sides together. I have my fabric doubled here, right sides out. And we'll need, for this hat, we're going to use the cherries for one side. and the frogs for the underside or the other side. It's a two-sided hat. It's reversible. So some yards of fabric that you'll buy are $15, you know, a sports team or something like that, Star Wars, Batman, you know, but some are as low as $2 a yard for a simple green solid color. So after I have my fabric ironed and laid out, doubled like it is, right sides out, I lay my pattern down and I trace it onto the fabric with my marker. And I'll do that with my second side, my second piece, which is the frogs, right sides out. So it's doubled as well, same thing. I'll lay that pattern down and trace it out onto the fabric. Then I'm ready to sit down and cut as close and as perfect as I can on the lines that I've drawn. And as I do that, I get finished cutting, let's say, the front here. After I take my scissors and I cut this area out, I'm just going to move it aside. I'm not going to flip it. I'm not going to separate it. I'm not going to do anything with it other than get it out of the way. I'm going to leave it just like it's laying, and keeping in mind which piece is the front, which piece is the middle, which piece is the back. They are different sizes, but still we want to keep up with that, what we're doing here. So don't flip anything over and don't separate anything as we cut this whole pattern out. Now the bill portion of our pattern is, I'm going to show you that in our next segment because it's a little different. We don't need 4 pieces of the bill. You know, when we cut this, we'll have 2 pieces of front, and after I cut this, I'll have 2 more pieces of front. So that's 4 total pieces of each triangle, front, middle, and back. But on the bill, we only need 1 frog and 1 cherry. So that'll make more sense here in our next portion of the video. But I just wanted to go through and make sure everyone understands that this fabric is doubled, it's ironed flat, there's no creases or wrinkles, and that the right sides are out. That's what that means, right sides out. I'm going to cut these 3 triangles, front, middle, back, out. I'm going to cut these 3 out, and then we'll talk about the bill portion. Alrighty, we got our pattern cut out, some of it. We got the front, middle, back on the frogs, and then we have our front, middle, and back on the cherries. That's just how it was laid out as you saw it before. I didn't move anything. I didn't flip anything. I didn't separate anything. This is how it was all laying. Now then, here's how I like to stack it as I prepare to sew. I'll leave my back portion on the bottom here. That's my back, and I'll lay my middle right here. I'll lay my front on top. Same thing with the frogs. I'll leave my back on the bottom, middle, front. So now I've got all the pieces I need for both sides of my hat sitting there waiting on me. Okay, now let's talk about the bill for a minute. Here's our pattern for our bill, and I only need one piece of frog and one piece of cherry to make that bill. One side's cherry, one side's frog. So how I'll approach this is right sides in. Right sides in. So you got the wrong side here on the frog and the wrong side here on the cherry. So as we open it up, here's our right sides. Now, looking at this bill pattern, I want to capture a couple of these cool frogs on here. How can I do that? Let me zoom in just a little more so you can see a couple of the frogs that I want to get in here. Maybe this guy and this guy, I don't know. Yeah, we can catch these two for sure. So I'm going to lay my pattern to where I'll catch these two frogs in the final product. Now you see I'm pushing it right here on this corner. I can't move it anymore. Probably move it to there. And we're still getting the frogs, so that's good. Take my marker. And I'll just draw the pattern onto the fabric. Very easy. And that's how we'll cut it. That's how we'll pin it. And it'll be waiting on us for our next step. So I'm going to cut this out and leave it like it lays. I'm not flipping or turning anything. Once again, we have right sides in, wrong sides out. It's going to be beautiful. So let's continue in a moment. Alright, let's talk about the stiffener, or the material that goes inside of the bill to keep it semi-rigid, keep it from wrinkling up in the wash. This is either nylon or polyester, and I don't know if you can see the thickness here, but I'll lay my pen across it, and it's pretty thin. It's very flexible, but it's a stiffener. It's something that is waterproof. It is not flame proof. It's nylon or polyester. It's not cotton. The stiffener is not cotton. So I'll take my same bill pattern, and I drew it out onto here. And knowing that I'm going to have a seam that this area here will become a seam. this material needs to be smaller than our actual cotton fabric, and you'll see why. But what I'll do after I outline the pattern is I'll lay it down, and I'll give myself some space here, because this will have to lay inside this piece at one point, so it has to be smaller, and that looks about right to me. I got 3/16 of an inch here, same here, of a space that I'm going to remove from the stiffener, and down here is closer to 7/16 of an inch. So now I'll draw a new cut line from my scissors here, only on the stiffener. The fabric is exactly what the bill it's the same size as the bill pattern, but this material through here will be removed so it can lay inside of here, and you'll see that. So here's our cut line, our new cut line here on this interior right there. Alright. These other edges will stay the same. Okay, so now, as you can see, eventually this stiffener, this liner, will be tucked in between these two pieces, in between the cherry and the frogs. It'll live inside here to stiffen up our bill, our brim. So that's how we do that's how I do the bill. And the next step is, let's get ready to sit down and talk about our sewing machine and talk about our needle and thread and everything else.